Hello, everybody. It's me, the Nutty Professor. I'm sitting here on my ego chair, and I'm not actually wearing my glasses because I tried taping with the glasses on, and you keep seeing the reflection of this vlog light, the circles on my eyes. So I'm going to do it without glasses. Now, I have news. I'm not going to say bad news. Earlier in my podcast, a couple of years ago, when I was struggling and I'd go 10 weeks clear, I would, and then fall, I would go, oh, bad news, I had a fall. And this time I did 19 and a half months clear. And I don't use the word clean because I'm trying to come up with, non-judgmental language, clear rather than clean, because clean implies that the other thing is dirty. So I've been trying to come up, people say relapses. And I've had but I don't like relapse, Again, I've tried to come up with my own term, and I'm framing it in Campbell's return rather than recovery. I've been using return rather than recovery. So Campbell's, hero or anti-hero, and in stories and myths, they go on journeys and odysseys, and sometimes they have to go underworld, and Ulysses had to go to the underworld, to hell, to ask for directions to get back to his island, and stuff like that, So, and then that whole thing in terms of the heroic journey is that you return after all of this going underworld adventures, you come back with your boon, whatever it is, treasure, knowledge, podcasts, books, whatever. You come back with your boon, and you return to the ordinary world. And I've been using that framework. So in that framework, I would say rather than a relapse, I'm going to say, and rather than recovery, I'm talking about, return to ordinary world. So I'm going to say that, you can have a excursion to the underworld, or revisiting. In much earlier podcasts, I talked about how I considered myself a tourist in that world because I wasn't a daily user. I didn't live there. And somebody said to me, you have a passport. You're not just a tourist. And so the whole thing there is that I want that passport to be expired, but it's still functional. So it was a revisit. And I will not provide any more details. Somebody I encountered was a little worried about anonymity, and I try to be as anonymous as possible in my podcasts. I won't say where the excursion was, it could be Toronto, Mississauga, could be somewhere else, and I'm not even going to say what it was. It could have been bar crawl. It could have been illegal alcohol. It could have been cannabis, which is legal these days. It could have been anything, So I'm not going to say what it was. I'm not going to say where it was. I'm just going to say there was an excursion. There was a revisiting of the underworld or otherworld or parallel world. I think the world of addiction is more under because it's underground and it's nighttime and it's sometimes illegal. So it is more of that underworld feeling. So there was the excursion, but I returned safely. And it was a bit harrowing, I have to admit. It was a bit harrowing, and there are dangers, but Campbell has said that, visiting the underworld, the hero in myths and stuff, the underworld, it's two things at the same time. It is unspeakable horrors, and it is also unimaginable delights. And that kind of applies to the world of addiction too, because, there is pleasure in whatever your addictive thing is, whether it is gambling or, drinking or substances or whatever. So there's unimaginable, delights and unspeakable horrors. And there are horrors. It's very compulsive, and there's all kinds of stuff going on there, and there's dangers. There are dangers. So it's both of those at the same time. And I had the little excursion. I came back safely. I left the babies, for the first time overnight, but lots of food, water. Geeta had the run of the condo, food, water. And when I came back safely, and that's the whole thing. I've said this before. That was that whole tortoise metaphor thing, but I do have a luxury condo to return to, a safe, a secure condo to return to, and I do have a family, a furry family, but I do have a family. I have 3 wonderful cat kids, so I have something to return for, which I am not stuck in that world, and that's the thing. And I've said this before. In my framework, I don't like to use the term addict or recovering addict. I think I've said struggler, and I've said non-turning back struggler. And I've also used the term junkie, but I've used it affectionately. Some people don't like it, but I'm okay with saying junkie. I do call myself a junkie, even if I've been clean for years, which I had been for a while. So I have an addictive personality. So that whole thing in terms of the 12-step programs. The 12th step is, once you have been saved, you have to go out and preach and save others. That's the 12th step. And I don't preach, And I've also said, my number 1 step is, if you don't want to turn back, don't turn back. If you don't have anything to turn back for, or, keep going. I will never tell anyone that they must stop doing something, and I will, that whole thing of that 12th step is you go out and preach to others. I have said that if you are not turning back, go for it. Add oil. Do what you need to do, and you may burn yourself out. You may not. I've seen people. A guy that worked for me after I left teaching when I was doing a property business. I had a guy who was like in his 70s, and he was still a daily user, still going. William S. Burroughs. He stopped for a while and then started again, heroin, and we lived till 90, So there's all kinds of things. So that's I will never tell anyone to turn back. If you have something you want to turn back for and you want to, put the effort into it, fine. So that's that whole framework. And on my excursion, my revisiting recently, I had one person say to me, don't even say in your podcasts that you have relapsed. And, people will, and don't be so open about your addiction because people will judge you. And another person, and I'm not even giving, I'm not saying he, she, I try to provide complete anonymity. So, but another person said to me, relapses are an essential, and he or she was using the more recovery model, and they said relapses are an essential aspect of recovery. There are going to be relapses. So in my model, there's going to be visits. So my thing here is 19 and a half months, so another 4 months or so to go to 2 years. So my goal is still to make it to 2 years, but the goal now is 2 years with one excursion, one revisit, one passport visit, we're kind of limited to that one visit. So the goal is still to, and I'm not gonna keep, going, so many weeks, so many days, so many this, so many that. That's again not really part of my model, Now I've been thinking about something else, and it came up when I was talking to people. Is that one of the people I encountered, and I mentioned them in previous podcasts, talked about the dusty dumpster rodent weasel path, kind of a trickster path, and this person used the term affectionately, they're called, daily users, dusty dumpster rodent weasels. And I have at times, you know how I do the cat volunteering, and I sometimes drive feral cats and the feral cats to their adoptive homes, and they're, some of them manage to be domesticated and become indoor cats. And there was one, remember Mango, and he had been a feral cat, and he had been killing chickens, and he got caught, and he was reformed, and he went to a foster home, and then he became a big woof, and he was like, giving his belly to be rubbed and eating canned food, and when I was driving him to his adoptive home, I kind of talked to him, and I'm going, Mango, we have some similarities here. I'm trying to become a domestic cat too, but I sometimes think a bit, but killing chickens wasn't my thing. My thing was human catnip. And one of my cat person friends actually told me that the cats fall into 3 categories regarding catnip. The first category loves it. Just goes wild. Just, much catnip as they can get, and get really high on it. Second group are like, take it or leave it, you give them some, they'll go, they'll purr, and they'll, but they're not crazy over it. Third group just go, what is this shit? I don't want anything to do with it. And my one of my cat person friends said that, she's lucky that she's in the third group, I know which group I'm in. Number one. So, there's all kinds of things to think about here, and I did, I on the excursion, I was careful because preventative measures and can be dangerous, but it was okay. I mean, I had my kids to come back for, and as I said, put out food and water for them, and they were a little bit, they were like, Dad, where have you been? And the babies are not used to this. Geetha was used to my going out overnight before, but the babies, though, there's 2 of them, and they were in the room, and they had all their food and water and everything, and they were, but now, and this is a very big development, all 3 of them are loose. I think Geetha is up there on her pedestal, and there's a baby there, so he tries to climb up, and then she hisses a bit, but now I don't even, I just let them, and they're okay, and especially, and today with my having been out a lot, I haven't slept yet, so they are the binges or the whatevers, they take a bit of a toll, and I was, I've returned, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. The people that don't turn back, the non-returning strugglers, I have a lot of respect for them. They the fortitude and the resilience. As I said, they don't have a luxury condo, most of them, to come back to after a night or two. They are mostly stuck in that world. It's daily. It's a daily user is 365 days a year, and you gotta hustle, and you gotta, deal, and you gotta, and it's a barrage of stuff, and it's just like thing after thing after thing after thing after every day. And you're living in motels, and there's, and the, like I said, this is a secure building. We've got very high security there. There's like, very flimsy locks, and there's shady people all over the place, and there's all kinds of, it's a tough life. I'm not romanticizing it, but I do have, it's very gritty, it's very rough, but people just keep going, and they going, and there's no holidays, and they're like, you gotta every day, So I have a lot of admiration for the daily user, for the non-turning back struggler, in my term, and if somebody wants to turn back, fine. That's if they have reasons to turn back, and they want to put the effort into it, and they have kids, they have cats, they have some they want to publish, they want to do something, they want to fine. And if you can't go 12-step, you kind of have to do what I did and come up with your own framework. So that's the news. As I said, I'm not going to say bad news. I'm just going to say that. Gonna keep going, and it was such a relief. It was such a relief to come back, just safe, and as I said, no drive. I'm very, very careful about this, no driving whatsoever on any form of intoxicant, there's walking, cabs and whatever, but no driving, under influence. So followed. And in that world, there are also rules within the world. There are some codes, and it's a dangerous world, but there is a certain form of safety too, and I in the past, not in this one, in the past I have been scammed, I have been robbed, and but this time it was okay. I mean, and I would rather not. Excursion again, So the goal is 2 years, So, but with the one excursion, so we're back to, rechanneling, podcasts, kids, and this is a big development. Kids are all, in the condo loose at the same time. Big development, Yeah, and I will get back to some writing. This is kind of, that going into that world has kind of there are some things that I observed that I went to, again, anonymously, names changed, all of that stuff, and I'm not publishing for now anyway. I'm writing this more for myself, and if we ever get to the point of publishing, everything will be, cities will be changed. As I said, I'm not going to say what city this was or even what it was. It could have been anything, So, could have been gambling. I mean, it could be anything, It could be like so I'm not going to, I'm going to provide anonymity for everyone. So that's the news, and my friends. Shout out to the people that I did share this with, my cat person friends, and and who have been very supportive, and another person I encountered said, you really shouldn't tell people about your thing. They're going to judge you, and I'm like going, if people are going to judge me, fuck them, and I have actually said that to, when the original relapse after 20 years, 4 or 5 years ago, and there was a guy in the country, an artist guy, and he was very judgmental. So he thought he wasn't, but he was very, finger wagging, and he was like going, oh, this addicts are, so I don't want to waste, and you're this and that, and and I just said, fuck you. And I said, cut him out, And there was some other people there who were, country people, not surprisingly, who were very judgmental. And I was like going, bye, nothing to do with you, I'm pretty much cut off from all my family, Just 3 members here, locals, and my parents, 8,000 miles away, telephone calls. So I'm pretty much cut off from all family. I have 2 or 3 close friends who, one lives thousands of miles away, and that's, you're gonna judge me. The person who came up with the dumpster rodent weasel path, he or she had some kind of, semi-religious beliefs, but in their own, way. And their thing was, I'm not going to judge anyone because only God can judge. And I'm like, I prefer not. I only judge judgmental people. But I don't like to be judged, and I don't like. Who am I to judge anyone, given my own stuff? I'm in no position. So anyway, that's what's up. So it's all good, So I'll keep you posted, and the goal here is to limit it to that one excursion, and then we're just going to go for the 2 years, and all the rechanneling and everything else. And it's my house is still progressing rapidly. He's doing, trim has come, and and all of that stuff. So rechanneling, and a little bit of socializing now that with civilians, now that things are opening up. So anyway, this has been the Nutty Professor with the cat kids, the 3 cat kids, and I'm back. I'm safe, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm tired, and so I'm going to crash soon. Okay, bye for now.